We stay with this theme and speak to Sophie Mokoena, SABC News International Editor, joining us in studio. Sophie, this marks the end of an era, and tomorrow it's being put to finality. And you listen to former President Thabo Mbeki. Where are the liberators? And I suppose this is the theme that is now being carried forward to say, yes, you lay him to rest, but the world now needs more of those more than ever.
I think it's a challenge to the young generation, including the current leadership, in terms of building a better African continent and, of course, by extension, a better world. At a time where we are grappling with many challenges, you talk about climate change, the conflict, and also including poverty and unemployment. And therefore, the challenge to the young generation is that it can't be business as usual. You have to ensure that you demand accountability, you lead by example, and doing things that can make Africa a better continent. And therefore, I think this is a challenge coming from those retired heads of state and government in terms of what needs to be happening going forward, particularly when you look at a situation such as Sudan, where many women and children are suffering. The war is raging on. The DRC, only yesterday, we saw how many people were killed in the DRC. Today, there are reports that in Goma, there are challenges in relation to some of the people who are trapped in that region, and therefore you have to find a way to deal with all these challenges. Global level, we're seeing what is happening, that shift of the balance of forces, and you look at what America is doing right now, the posture of the US, particularly in relation to developing countries. That is why people are saying you have to look inward, build a better Africa, focus on the African continental free trade area, and let the regions do business among themselves.
And when you think about tomorrow as well, of course, we're looking ahead to the funeral now, because there is another memorial that's currently taking place in Windhoek. Let's speak about those who will be in attendance.
We know that many leaders on the continent will be there tomorrow. We saw the chairperson of SADC, Emmerson Mnangagwa, is expected to arrive today. We saw earlier on the chairperson of the African Union, that is the president of Angola, who delivered a speech today. He is already there. We expect other dignitaries. In terms of South Africa, we know that the Minister of International Relations, Ronald Lamola, arrived yesterday. He is there. We know that the former South African President Thabo Mbeki is arriving today. He's going to join those former heads of state and government who will be there. We saw Joseph Kabila, the former president of the DRC, joining those who gathered today. But secondly, we also saw the former First Lady, Grace Mugabe. You'd recall that Sam Nujoma was very close to former President Robert Mugabe. Who can forget that powerful speech by Robert Mugabe, Blair, take your England and let me have my Zimbabwe. And immediately you saw the President of Namibia, then Sam Nujoma, weighing in terms of the role of the United Kingdom on issues of land distribution, or the Lancaster Agreement.
And looking now to some international news, so we're seeing a meeting that some thought was never going to take place, and that is a meeting between US President Donald Trump as well as Volodymyr Zelensky, Ukrainian President. Given what these two have said about each other in the public domain, and what has been said even about the peace process by Zelensky, as well as, you know, at some point listening to US President Donald Trump calling him a dictator and all of that, people did not see this meeting coming. Let's speak about the significance of this moment.
Well, we've been monitoring the developments in the United States of America. We know that President Trump has indicated that he wants to see an end to the conflict in the Middle East and the war in Ukraine. And he is pushing for that. Some people are even suspicious that he wants a Nobel Peace Prize. And you saw the meeting with the president of France, Emmanuel Macron. he was very, very hard and almost very hostile, pushing back on everything. But yesterday, it was a different posture. It's no surprise. It was a United Kingdom, and you know the relationship between America and United Kingdom. It's quite a very historic one, and therefore, even that letter that the Prime Minister of the UK delivered, coming from the King, he was very, very happy. And when he was asked about Zelensky being a dictator, he pretended as if he didn't utter those words. But you know, archives are there, sound bites are there, this was well documented. You can see that he was taking a different posture. So I won't be surprised today when he is not hard on Zelensky, but trying to push Zelensky to sign that agreement. And that agreement will pave way towards cessation of hostilities between Ukraine and Russia, which may end up with ceasefire. I think ceasefire is on the cards, because even President Vladimir has agreed to ceasefire, saying that all along he wanted that peace process and the ceasefire, but Zelensky was being pushed by the European Union member countries not to agree, and therefore watch the space, ceasefire on the cards.
And we're watching it indeed, Sophie, because some are saying that, you know, this may be seen, this deal may be seen as payback as well towards the United States for all the support that they've been lending to the Ukrainians. So it'll be interesting. We're watching the space indeed. Thank you so much for wrapping that for us. Interesting developments there when you think about what is currently taking place, and it'll be interesting to hear what the US president says the outcome of the meeting will be between you know, the US as well as Ukraine, because a lot of people waiting to see, you know, as Sophie says, if this, you know, deal around minerals is going to be struck, and if we're going to be seeing this peace process going ahead. It's interesting there to watch these developments. That is Sophie Mokoena, SABC News International Editor.